Remember when WordPerfect came out with their first word processor?
This is cool.
All the neat bells and whistles to make your job easier.
It even lets me insert text.
Well, a lot has changed. Yet some things remain the same. We still listen to our users. And we still ask, what if? What if WordPerfect for DOS was graphical?
I want to see what my documents look like while I'm working.
What if the help feature automatically made changes for you?
It's so much faster if I could just send my fax to WordPerfect.
What if you could open 9 documents at a time?
What I really need is a grammar checker.
What if you could size and move graphics right on screen?
I wish I could perform spreadsheet functions right in WordPerfect.
And after we asked ourselves, what if? We asked ourselves, why not? We've written the past, now let's write the future.
Views on the future word processor.
You know, I think today's word processor is more than a tool just for text. You should be able to integrate any type of information that you want into your document, including sound and graphics, and it should just become part of the document, not something
Word
that's
processing. Webster describes it as the production of typewritten documents with computerized typing and text editing equipment. We haven't been doing it for that long, yet it has taken a quantum leap from where it started out. Most of us are familiar how it used to be, the labor, the mess, the hassle. Today, word processing has advanced to include text, graphics, and sound. Where a page used to look like this, it can now look like this.
Well, I think the tools to integrate the separate pieces shouldn't get in the way. We need to design the interface so that it's very intuitive to the user. That way the integration will be quite seamless and the user can quickly process all the information in.
With the release of WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS, it was very important to us here at WordPerfect Corporation that we not alienate any of the existing 5.1 for DOS users. For this reason, you'll find that a user can easily switch from a text user interface, which the 5.1 for DOS user is familiar with, to a graphical interface, which is now available at the 6.0 level. I can also go in and rely on a lot of the keystrokes being just the same as 5.1. For example, Shift F7 is still print, Control F8 is still going to bring you the font dialog box. But it won't take very long for you to look at these new dialog boxes to see the great improvements that we've made to this product.
I really think WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS is going to appeal to both the novice and the advanced user. It has a true editable WYSIWYG display and even lets you choose between the text or graphical user interface. No matter which interface you use, WordPerfect 6.0 uses many of the features familiar to Windows users like dialog boxes, radio buttons, checkboxes, scroll bars, ribbons, and button bars. WordPerfect 6.0 includes a lot of desktop publishing features. With a click of the mouse or an intuitive keystroke, I can zoom in or out on my document, choose and apply any of a number of different scalable fonts, add balanced newspaper or parallel columns, or place a graphic and select a style.
Styles are more powerful than ever and intuitive to use. I can even link styles so that when one style is turned off, a second style is automatically turned on. With the new undo feature, I can quickly reverse the last change made to a document. With 6.0, I can now see any of the major font families, including TrueType fonts, right on screen. I can print almost any scalable font on graphic dot matrix, laser, or PostScript printers. In addition, I can now print not only text, but also color graphics as well on virtually any color printer. WordPerfect will also ship a selection of scalable fonts with the program.
I'd like to show you how easy it is to customize the interface for your own particular liking. I can go up and with the View selection from the menu bar, choose Screen Setup. From there I can choose a number of different options to customize my screen. I can also choose to have horizontal or vertical scroll bars, or frame my document if I want to have the file name near the top. Once I've made my selections, I would simply say OK, and these new options would be placed into my document. Changing fonts is just as easy now. I can really rely on the use of the mouse, but if I'm a mnemonic person and like to use the keyboard, I can use the keyboard to do just about anything that I can do with a mouse. To change a font, I would simply highlight the text, go to the font either from the menu bar or from the button bar. In this case, let me choose from the button bar, and go immediately into the font dialog box. At this point, I can go in and change the font face from the drop-down menu, double-click here, and then go over and decide what size of a point I would like to use for my font. In this case, let's choose 35. Now I can also change the color, and I can go in and choose one of the colors that are provided here in the palette colors, or I can go in and easily customize these colors with my custom color wheel. And I could come in and soften this blue a little bit, maybe darken it or lighten it a bit, and then go right back into my document and apply this color to the text that I had highlighted. It's that easy to change a font or to make editing changes to the interface of the way that you use WordPerfect.
WordPerfect 6.0 has greatly simplified the use of graphics in documents. I can now edit, size, and drag and drop graphics right on the screen. I can also customize the border and fill patterns surrounding the graphic, or simply place customized borders automatically around any text, paragraph, or page. And unlike any word processor available, Windows or DOS, I can contour wrap text to the uneven shape of any graphic. Now that is power. WordPerfect 6.0 also offers an easy-to-use collapsible outline feature. I can expand and collapse my outline, automatically apply heading styles to any or all of my outline, and do all this and more from a convenient outline ribbon that puts all the features at the click of a mouse.
Here I've been working on my Beacon Financial newsletter. And what I've decided to do is I'd like to have a nice fill pattern in the back of this graphic. So instead of having to go through and create some kind of a fill pattern in another application, import that in and update my graphic, I have the ability to do that right within WordPerfect. I can simply highlight the graphic by clicking once, or click twice to automatically launch the Edit Graphics box. I can come into Edit Border Fill and choose any of a number of different fill styles. Possibly it's a style that I created beforehand. In this case, let's choose the sailboat style. By double-clicking, it will give me a nice picture of the style that I've chosen. Notice that this is a nice gradient fill pattern, and you will have the ability to create and use fill patterns in WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS. When I say OK and then apply that to my graphic, I go back to my document, and you can see that the nice fill pattern has been placed behind my graphic. Well, what if I wanted to edit the fill pattern? Let me show you how easy that is. I come back into Fill, and instead of choosing the fill style sailboat, I'll simply go in and create my own. Let's call this a sunset. I go in now, and again I want to use the gradient pattern. So I'll go in and make the top of my gradient a white. The bottom of the gradient will be a yellow. But since it's sunset time, let's go in and add a little red to that yellow. It's as easy as dragging on the color wheel. Now I'm ready to complete my sunset, so I say OK, double click here to choose that new style, and it's easy as clicking and putting that new style right in there with my sailboat. Now, what if I decided that I don't even want to have any kind of a border on my graphic or style? Well, I would double click again, and now I can go in and choose to have text flow around the graphic itself. And I can choose to contour the text right to the sides of the graphic. And I can contour that on the larger side, the left side, right side, and even a number of different options. In this case, let's choose on both sides. And definitely, yes, we want to contour the text flow. So I say OK, and as easy as that, we have our document now with the graphic and the text contouring to it automatically. Dragging and dropping that graphic wherever I want in my document is no problem also. And if I don't like the way my text is lining up around my graphic, there are a number of ways to edit that. I can go in and change justification, or I can go into the graphic itself by double-clicking and changing the spacing of the text around the graphic. By choosing spacing, I'll go in and turn automatic spacing off, set all spacing to 0 or whatever measurement I would like, and now when I go back into my document, you'll notice that the text wraps right to the graphic image itself. I have this capability in many kinds of documents. Let me switch to another document simply by hitting Home 2, or of course, you 5.1 users, you could hit the switch key. Here I have a nice eco-services document I've created. Retrieving a graphic is also much easier. I can come in and choose the graphics menu and simply say, let's retrieve an image into this graphic. First of all, let's choose where we'd like to have that graphic line up. I retrieve the graphic and go into my list files, and it gives me a dialog of where I'll find that graphic information. In this case, let's choose the tree graphic. So I say tree, and let's retrieve it into the current document. Here's my graphic now in my document. I don't like where it's lining up, so I'll simply click on that graphic, and now resizing a graphic in a WordPerfect document is as easy as clicking and dragging. Notice the graphic now moves to the top of the document where I first wanted to place it. Again, I can drag and drop the graphic wherever I want on my screen, however I'd like it to appear, or as I did before, I can double click on that graphic, go to the Edit Graphics box, and again turn off the border if that's what I choose to do. Let's again wrap on both sides and turn on Contour Text Flow. And it's easy as that to bring in this graphic and customize it how I'd like it to appear in my document. This kind of capability is not available in any other word processing package and most desktop publishing packages on OS/2, DOS, or Windows.
WordPerfect 6.0 allows me to fax a document right from my computer. All I need is a fax BIOS compatible modem, or I can even use the fax modem on my network server. I am going to be saving a lot of paper, and anything I can do to improve the ecology just makes my company look that much better in the community.
WordPerfect 6.0 now lets me do spreadsheet functions from within the table feature. When I create a table, I have total control over any cell, row, column, or range of cells, and I can place formulas in any cell and dynamically link that information to other tables in my document, including single cells that appear as regular text. If I recalculate, all linked tables are automatically updated at the same time. I can dress up my tables with the new custom border and fill paint technology. I can use any combination of color lines and pattern fills. I can even use color gradients for my fill patterns. The selectable merge feature lets me easily set up query conditions for secondary or data merge files. I can even set the merge to automatically create addressed envelopes and attach them to the completed merge file. Macros in 6.0 are now result-oriented instead of keystroke-oriented. This means that creating and editing macros is going to be intuitive to even the novice user. The macro language is tokenized, the same as WordPerfect for Windows, making the macros compatible between the new versions. There is also a new macro conversion utility included with the software that will automatically convert WordPerfect 5.1 macros to run in 6.0. There are over 50 new programming commands, system variables have been enhanced, and there are a whole series of new dialog create commands to help you create dialog boxes.
Creating a table now in WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS is much easier and much more intuitive. In fact, let me just show you how easy that is. I'm going to switch to another document screen. In order to bring up the table dialog, of course it's still Alt F7, you'll be familiar with that. I can choose tables and then choose to create a table. In this case, it asks me for the columns and the rows. How about 5 columns and 8 rows? And that's all it takes. Now when I go into the Table Edit menu, you'll notice that this table looks suspiciously like a spreadsheet. Well, as you've already guessed, that's exactly what it is. And in fact, we've included all of the spreadsheet functionality from Plan Perfect here in WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS. So now you'll be able to take care of all your word processing and spreadsheet needs right here in your word processor. I can go in and select a range of cells or an individual column or row, or I can choose just one cell at a time. And I can also choose to format individual cells, range of cells, columns, rows, or the entire table. Notice the cell format dialog box. I can go in, for example, and change the number type simply by clicking to turn the currency symbol on. At that point, if I wanted, I could have a number of different international currency symbols to choose from, and I would simply place those into my table. Again, I also have these capabilities for columns, for rows, and again for the entire table. Now what about placing a formula in this table? Well, it's easy as clicking on Formula and going to the functions of the formula dialog. I have almost 100 different choices to place in the formula. In this case, I could just type sum and hit enter. And at this point, it's asking me in my table formula menu for the range of cells that I would like to have included in the summation. At this point, I could type in the range of cells, or I could go to a point mode and highlight the range of cells that I would like to have included. It's that easy to create your formula. And when you go ahead and insert that into the cell, you can see that the calculation is done for you. Let's go to a document that has a table already created. In this particular table, in this particular document, what we've created is a table that helps you calculate the different mortgage rates. If I go in to edit this table, and again, I can access that information simply from the button bar. In this case, I'll click Edit Table button. Notice our table is placed here, and we can see the graphics still and the different fonts that we've used. In this particular table, in this particular cell, if we check the formula, I can go in, and here's the formula for calculating a payment on on a mortgage. If I want to go in and change that calculation, it's as easy as going into the table and saying, well, what if I wanted to have a $250,000 mortgage instead of $150,000? That's as easy as changing the number and then recalculating. There's a couple of ways to recalculate. I can first of all go out and choose the Calculate Table button from the button bar, or use the mnemonic keystrokes Alt F7 and go into the Table dialog box. Or in this case, we've created a hypertext link that will take me automatically to a macro that will recalculate this figure. So if I simply click on the Calculate button, you'll see that WordPerfect will go through and recalculate and find the new monthly payment that would be required. There's another very exciting technology that's been included with our table features. Let me switch to another document here that has another table that we've created. And by the way, while we're looking at this table, notice the nice fill patterns and different colors I've chosen to offset and to emphasize the different numbers, months, countries, whatever information I'd like to have in my table. Again, that's as easy as going in and editing your table and choosing from the endless different numbers of lines, borders, and fill patterns that you can either create or many different styles that are automatically shipped with WordPerfect. And again, I can apply those different default lines or border or fill styles to the entire table, or simply apply that to a current block or a range of cells. At this point, what I'd like to do is put in that summation calculation I talked about. So I'll go into Formula, again, choose Functions, type in Sum, hit Enter, go to my point mode, and I want to calculate for these different countries in the month of January. Once I've identified my range, I'll say OK, and apply now that formula to that cell. I can easily copy formulas around the table also. If I go to the Move Copy button and say copy this cell to the right 3 times, then my formula is copied automatically over to the right, and you can see how the cell or the cells are automatically filled in with a new summation formula. The most exciting thing about spreadsheets and tables in WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS is the ability to link tables, columns, rows, ranges of cells, or individual cells throughout any document. It's as easy as going into the cell once you've placed the formula and actually naming the cell. I would bring up the Name dialog box, choose Cell, and give it a name of April, for example. Then I go back to my document and create the link. I'll use my scroll bar to move down in my document to the point where I would like to enter the information about the total in April. I place my cursor, choose Alt F7, and go into the floating cell. I would simply edit that cell by making sure that the formula name is April. I go back to my document, and it's placed in my document automatically. Now, if I need to go in and edit my table, let's say that this figure came back and it was actually 664 instead of 554. Now I can go back, recalculate, and I don't have to worry wherever I placed information from that table. It's just a matter of recalculating, and all of the linked cells are updated automatically. Notice that not only for April, but February, March, all of those would be updated if I went in and made those editing changes in the table. Now that's spreadsheet power in a word processor.
I really like the new Quick Finder because I can create indexes based on user-defined information. Document management is easier because I can find any type of information I want in any WordPerfect document, in any directory, on any hard drive, even on a network. 6.0 has a powerful go-to function with bookmarks and quick marks that makes it easy to move around in a document. I can place one or more bookmarks in a document and then link them together. I can then move to them from anywhere in the document. When I save a document, a quick mark is placed automatically at the cursor position. This makes it easy to start right where you left off. I can move right to that position just by typing Control F.
WordPerfect 6.0 has several additional new features that make my work easier. First, WordPerfect 6.0 lets me customize how I manage my files. File Manager allows me to sort or list files by file name, extension, date of creation, and file size. Codes are now inserted in their optimal position automatically. Line codes, for example, are placed at the beginning of lines, paragraph codes at the beginning of paragraphs, and page codes at the top of pages. Digital voice or MIDI sound clips can now be recorded and saved in my document. I can place editing instructions in a sound clip comment in my document, for example, and then when my assistant opens the document, he can make the changes to the document while he is listening to my comments. Grammar checking is now as simple as clicking with a mouse or pushing a key. Grammatic 5, the world's leading grammar checking software, is built right into WordPerfect 6.0 and launches automatically to give me a quick check on the correctness of my document according to a standard or personal grammatical style. The printing of envelopes in WordPerfect 6.0 is as easy as Shift F8 3 or a couple of clicks with a mouse. WordPerfect 6.0 automatically finds the mailing name and address and even creates a barcode and places it on the envelope.
Correspondence now, using WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS, will be much easier than ever before. In order to generate an envelope for this letter that I've created, I simply click on the envelope icon on the button bar. Notice that the mailing address is found for me automatically. I can go in and place a return address, or if I had saved a return address as a default, I could simply click on the default and it would be placed there for me. I can also go in and easily customize the different envelopes that I might be using. Once I have created the address, or placed a graphic or a company logo, and I can do that because these are basically mini WordPerfect documents, I then can go in and print this envelope or insert it as part of my document. Before I do that, notice one other very exciting feature, the PostNet barcode. You can see that this barcode has been created for me automatically. I can easily turn that feature on or off, either having to manually create the barcode or having it done automatically. In this case, since I'm doing a bulk mailing and I know that I want to qualify for the most favorable mailing rates, I'll let it generate the PostNet barcode for me automatically. I'll simply insert this envelope and it becomes a part of the letter document. I can then go ahead and print this and have the ease of knowing that my envelope will be printed automatically with an accurate PostNet barcode, all ready to send out in my mailing.
WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS is really an integral part of our WISE strategy. It combines a lot of the elements that Don mentioned in that it gathers information from a number of sources. It really becomes much more than just a word processor. I think it really becomes a document processor.
There have been those that have said what we are doing in DOS could only be done in a Windows environment. So we asked ourselves, what if? And the result is the new worldwide standard for word processing on any platform. WordPerfect 6.0. We've written the past, now we're writing the future.